Welcome. Thank you for tuning in to the Liquid Wisdom Podcast, where we take the fear out of everyday life, one episode at a time. So if you're not scared, let's jump into the deep end right now, and please, don't pee in the pool.
Hello. Welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. Episode 4 is truly an exciting time, truly exciting moment. Now, if you remember last week, I went over in a more general sense, toxicity, and different types of toxic relationships. However, this week, I'm going to be discussing in a little bit more detail about narcissism. Now, before I begin, I just want to remind you all that I am not an expert, nor have I ever claimed to be. I am merely an observer, and I only wish to share knowledge with those who should have need of it. Now, with that being the case, there are resources, plenty of resources out there in which you could speak to an expert about these subject matters. Now, with that being said, let us take a deep dive into narcissism, or rather, taking the fear out of confronting a narcissistic relationship. Now, many of us have grown up with a narcissistic parent, or maybe in a narcissistic partnership or relationship, and may not even know it. Today, I want to empower you to recognize the signs of a narcissist, the effects the narcissist may have had on your life, and give you the tools you need to protect and heal yourself from the narcissist. Take a seat. Now, first question is, what is narcissism? It's a great question. Now, according to the Mayo Clinic, narcissists are people who have had an inflated sense of their own importance, a deep need for excessive attention and admiration, troubled relationships, and a lack of empathy for others. But behind this mask of extreme confidence lies a fragile self-esteem that's vulnerable to the slightest criticism. Some, but not all, traits that describe a narcissist include having a sense of entitlement and require admiration from others. They want to be regarded as superior, even though their actions and achievements do not warrant it. They exaggerate their own talents and accomplishments. They monopolize conversations and look down on those they think are inferior. They are envious of others, yet they think other people envy them. Furthermore, the narcissist shows their true feelings whenever they are criticized, even if it's slight or just perceived criticism. The smallest things, They may get angry and impatient with others if they don't receive special treatment. You can't see it, but I did the little quotation things. Think of and I apologize in advance if I call out any particular Karens. Just saying Karens of the world. Okay. Now, if you don't know what a Karen is, it is slang for an entitled, obnoxious, nagging, demanding woman who complains about everything. They also have major trouble dealing with change and adapting to unexpected situations. You ever seen someone, when something happens that's unforeseen, they just flip out for no reason? You might be dealing with someone like that, just to, plant that seed. Narcissists also become enraged when criticized. They also respond by demanding or belittling the other person. Hey, I wish you would be more of a healthy listener. Well, your insert blank, insult. I'm pretty sure some of you have had that happen before. The thing about narcissists is that they secretly feel shame, insecurity, and humiliation when criticized and respond by becoming angry, moody, or depressed. One thing some of you may be asking is, what are the types of narcissism and what do they look like? Like, how do they exist? Well, for those who feel like the narcissist in your life doesn't exactly fit the stereotype of the egotistical, vain, or larger-than-life narcissist depicted in the movies, be aware that there are 6, you heard it right, 6 different types of narcissists to look out for. 2 main types and 4 subtypes. All right. The main types are, first up, you got the vulnerable narcissist. These people tend to be driven by an inferiority complex that pushes them to wear a mask of sorts to look more like people they idealize. These people have usually been treated poorly as kids and are generally quiet or shy by nature. On the inside, they care little or not at all for other people's feelings, since they don't have the capacity to care about others. They may use things like guilt trips or shame to get the attention they need from other people. These people are also known as covert narcissists. You also have the invulnerable narcissist. This type of narcissist has a more traditional view of narcissism. They're cold, extremely confident, unempathetic, kind of like your villains from your favorite soap opera or wrestler or character from a TV show. They will relentlessly seek out recognition, fame, and power. They constantly need to be seen as superior to everyone else. And they may even have a God complex. They use blame and criticize others and are often unfaithful and lacking in compassion. Now, that covers the 2 general types. Now, let's go into the 4 subtypes. Now, you have what's called the amorous narcissist. This person is a charmer by using flattery and gifts to ensnare their romantic partners, only to quickly dispose of them once their needs are met, or if they become bored of their romantic prospect. They are the gold diggers, the sugar babies, the womanizers, and the playboys of the world. And for all my female listeners, you may have come across one or more of these type of narcissists. More power to you, though, for not being with them. Now, you also have what's called the compensatory narcissist. Now, these people create a larger-than-life versions of themselves to overcompensate for past sufferings. They find vulnerable people and make them into their audience by using emotional abuse and manipulation. This type of person is extremely sensitive to criticism and is always on the lookout for negativity from others. You ever seen those kind of people that can never quite sit still when things are peaceful and things are serene? The individuals that like to stir the pot, so to speak, that thrive in drama? Yeah, that's a compensatory narcissist for you right there. Now, the next subtype is the elitist narcissist. These are the get to the top by any means necessary type of people. The ones that step on the backs of others who support them on the way up. These are the people that believe either through achievement or birthright that they are better than everyone else. Their entitlement and ego are evident in every aspect of their lives. They are skilled at self-promotion, bragging, and one-upsmanship. They will defend their status as the best at all costs. Just a quick example. So, for instance, you tell a story about something you overcame, and instead of being more either empathetic or sympathetic to your story, they'll say, oh, well, it's nothing compared to what this is. Therefore, just disavowing what you shared and not giving it any acknowledgement at all. Now, the next subtype is the malignant narcissist. These narcissists often have qualities that align with the antisocial and the psychopaths of the world. They care little about the morality of their actions and enjoy outsmarting others. These types of people often end up in gangs and rehab or in jail due to their disregard of the law. Now, we just discussed in a little detail about the general types and subtypes of narcissists, but how does the narcissist affect those around them? Now, how narcissistic parents affect their kids is usually where this all starts. You usually grow up in a household with a narcissist, and as you grow up in life, you're going to come across people, whether in the workspace or where you decide to go to school, whom you choose to hang around. But let's start at home first. So, Narcissistic parents teach their kids that nothing they do is ever good enough. They teach children that love is conditional. For instance, your parents show that you as a child love and affection when you're doing good, like when you're doing good in school or that sort of thing. But the moment you mess up, they end up becoming unfamiliar to you. You can't even recognize them as your parents anymore. That's not the condition of love. That's narcissism. And it's horrible. It's painful. I can tell you on a personal, that's what I experienced that growing up. I used to think that was love, that you had to meet certain requirements and conditions in order to receive the affection and adoration from your parents. But of course, being older now, I know that's not the case. Now, being adversely affected as a child by narcissism, they make their children overly sensitive and insecure and overly worried about what others think of them. They also remove the idea of healthy boundaries. There's not a place in the house where you can think to yourself or have your own space because you're constantly having someone invade it. The children may become hypersensitive to others' emotions, but unable to protect their own. Quick example of the hypersensitivity. I had a coworker some years ago that was hypercritical of everything that she did. Whenever she would make a mistake, it was always, oh my goodness, I gotta fix this. That's at a glance what hypersensitivity is. Okay? Now, another adverse effect is that the children are afraid to speak up for themselves or challenge others. And I'm sure a lot of you have, at one point or another, have seen a friend or just observed, someone being talked down to in such a demeaning way, and they just don't do anything about it. They don't speak up for themselves, don't defend themselves, to just allow the verbal onslaught to happen. And it's a very sad and very unfortunate thing to both experience and both to observe. Now, the narcissist may also cause children to attract other narcissists into their adult relationships, because your parents are the first examples of a relationship you could potentially form in your life. So if you're an individual who's come from a very abusive situation, subconsciously, you may put out that kind of energy to bring those kind of individuals into your life. So be very careful and be very aware. And these children also may feel used at their workplace, not understanding why their jobs are so difficult. Now, we briefly spoke about how narcissism affects children. Now, let us go ahead and segue over into how narcissists affect their partners. This is going to ruffle some feathers. Now, the narcissist protects their own fragile sense of self-worth by using aggression, bullying, and hostility towards their partner. The narcissist manipulates, withholds affection, criticizes, blames, lies to, and belittles their partner. For instance, you could be in the middle of a disagreement and you could say something along the lines of, hey, I wish you would do this for me or do more of this for me in order for this to take place in this relationship. And then they just come out of nowhere and say, you know what? You wear 2 left shoes. Now, of course, the example I'm giving is very more lighthearted compared to some of the stories I've heard from friends and family and others I've observed. It can be a very heartbreaking and very dangerous situation with the amount of insults that I've heard and myself from previous relationships. Now, the narcissist may use physical, sexual, financial, mental, or emotional abuse to protect themselves. You see, it comes in many forms, not just the most notable ones. Now, the affected partner feels unseen and lonely by someone who is incapable of providing true love and affection. The partner also becomes less sure of themselves while their self-esteem erodes. the partner may lack the courage to leave the unsatisfying relationship. And I know a lot of you may at one point experience it, or have a friend that at one point, you ever seen them where it's at when before they get into that very abusive relationship, right? That individual is confident, they are compassionate, they just seem to walk with a certain energy about them, right? They seem to glow. Then after being with that very narcissistic and toxic person, you don't recognize them anymore. And I'm sure some of you even said this to a friend: I don't know who you are anymore. What happened to you? They're experiencing a vortex of narcissism and abuse in a multitude of ways. Now, it's not always so cut and dry as to what led to that point, but it could definitely play a key role into the lack of familiarity with them. Now, I know with all this information and this, given how heavy it is, and, given how last week, the brevity of last week, and given the more deeper nature of this week, I'm sure that you may have asked at this at some point, well, will a narcissist ever change? Now, I want you to understand that everyone can change, but most people choose not to. Notice the emphasis on the words that I said: can and choose. I want you to understand that you are not responsible for creating that change, but you are responsible for your reaction to their willingness or unwillingness to change. All right. I also want you to understand that if the narcissist does not admit, acknowledge, or view their behavior as abuse or even problematic, then chances are low that they will change. Remember that a person's consistent actions, not their words or occasional attempts to pacify you, is what will show you if that person is willing to change. Now, I've had a few people from my circle as I've grown up that would have a relationship with someone, and then when that person will be at their wit's end, will be ready to leave, and then all of a sudden, oh, okay, I'm sorry, I'll do better. And then weeks later or a month later, they're back to doing what's comfortable for them, and that person ends up leaving, which of course is the best thing to do because you don't want to be in a toxic relationship. Now, going into greater detail, if they continue to use their old manipulative ways, it isn't change. It simply isn't. If they don't accept responsibility for the way they've hurt others, it isn't change. If they say they're quote unquote working on it, but you never see the work, it isn't change. Now, here are some good signs that our narcissists may actually change. First things first, they agree to get help. And not just agree, but take concrete steps to change. They actually see the effects that their behavior has on you and those around them. That's another word for empathy and compassion. They also see their actions have a negative effect on others. Now, if a narcissist is not showing any of these signs, it's not a good idea to hope for any kind of change. In fact, that hope can become toxic to your well-being in the long run as they repeatedly hurt you and let you down. Now, some interactions are inevitable because some of you are going to be in a workplace where you're going to see someone you don't like, or it could be a superior, it could be a coworker, it could be whomever it is. So what if you have to interact with a narcissist? What do you do? Well, if your situation requires you to interact with a narcissist on a frequent basis, there are some ways to maintain your sanity, because you want to keep that. You don't want to lose your mind to the situations like this. You may be tempted to outsmart or beat a narcissist. If you can help it, don't do it. It's just a game you don't want to play. It's not worth your time or your energy. Narcissists hate to confront any reality that doesn't paint them as better than everyone else, and they will do whatever it is in their power to deny the truth. They like to fight, plain and simple, and they like to fight dirty. They'll lie, even to themselves, to help their case. They play the victim, plant the seeds of doubt in you and others, and make you out to be the one with the problem. You can say something like, hey, you have this kind of issue. Well, it's your fault that you think I have this issue. Yeah, That's been said before. Crazy, right? And the thing is, they don't stop until they win, and they drain the energy from everyone around them. Now, that being said, there are ways to protect yourself. Oh yeah, I got you. I told you. I'll give you the information to weaponize against stuff like this, especially against a narcissist. Now, remember, the thing a narcissist needs the most is attention. That's their life force. Don't give it to them. Start taking care of yourself and giving yourself me time, or in this case, you time. Instead of focusing all your attention on them, don't show visible anger or frustration. That feeds the notion that they're winning. Remember, it's a game you don't want to play. Here's an idea. Go gray rock. Now, this tactic is going to be a continuation of what I said last week by basically making yourself so boring and so non-responsive that the narcissist no longer takes an interest in you. You'll need to minimize communication with the narcissist as much as you can. Keep your responses short, one word if possible, like yes, for example, or okay, or true. I had a friend of mine that uses tactics like that all the time whenever he was be faced with a narcissist, and it worked to great effect. So do with that information what you will. Also, another thing you can do, smile and nod without a verbal response if possible. Never provide the narcissist personal details about your life, and give only facts instead of opinions. Be as interesting as a rock, and the narcissist eventually looks elsewhere to fill their need for attention. Set clear boundaries and have consequences when narcissists don't respect them. Now, here's an example. If a narcissist coworker keeps blocking your parking space, tell them what they're doing, and next time they will be told. Follow through and call the towing company next time they block your space. Same coworker stealing your lunch? If you know it's them, that's very important. If you know it's them, tell them they need to stop taking your lunch, and if they don't, now do with this what you will. Add some helpful spices or laxatives to your meal. You've been warned. Now, next point of discussion, you could say, well, how to go low contact or no contact with a narcissist. Well, if you can keep away from a narcissist, this option is often best for those affected. It's important to remember that the narcissist affects not only you, they can poison the minds of friends or family against you. Remember, they are skilled manipulators. They can include your children, if they are the partner or the grandparent. It is vital to keep impressionable minds away from the toxic narcissist. There are two methods of distancing yourself: low contact and no contact. Now, let's first go over low contact. Low contact is if you feel having minimal contact is more feasible than no contact. Follow these tips to minimize your stress, okay? As stated earlier, set boundaries. For example, tell the narcissist, if you need to call, make it only a few times a week for 15 minutes each time, because I have A, B, and C to do. You have a life, okay? When the time limit is approaching the end of the phone call, be firm and say you have to get off the phone now. If they try to add just one more thing, tell them to text it for you to read later since you really need to go. Then go. Try to keep contact with the narcissist restricted to public places with established start-end times attached. Places that don't allow for much communication, for example, like the movies, can be helpful. Remember, go gray rock in your conversations. Keep the communication to a minimum and do not divulge your personal information. Narcissists will seek to use any information they can to try and hurt you should things not go their way. So that's why you do want to keep anything that's remotely vulnerable to you close to the chest. Okay? If the narcissist keeps pushing for information, give out something that sounds important but really isn't a big deal to you. Like a smoke screen, for instance, right? For example, if you know you're trying to land a big account for your job, but it involves long hours, tell the narcissist that the job has more work than usual, but don't say why. That way, the narcissist doesn't ruin the hope of your success, and as an added bonus, you have more hours away from their toxic influence. Also, find a long-term project or hobby that will keep you busy for weeks or months at a time. limiting your time with the narcissist. Now, for the going no contact folks out there, this is where sticking to your boundaries is extremely important. Your narcissist has been using you as a source of admiration and attention for a long time, and they may not want to give that up so easily. They will try to send a message to you through family or friends. Hey, tell so-and-so I've been thinking about him, or tell so-and-so I would love for us to have lunch or get coffee, etc., etc. They may start promising everything you want to hear. Oh, I promise you I'm going to do better. I've been doing this. I'm going to get right. That sort of thing, just to lower your guard so they can swoop in and potentially take advantage of it. If that doesn't work, they may threaten you. They can go from being sweet to saying, you know what, this and this and this and this. Or they may play the victim card and say they're sick or in a bad situation. Oh, things haven't going well for me since you last left me. You were everything to me. Things like that. Yeah. Now, remember that this person has not magically changed in the short time since you've been left. Oh, I had a talk with God back there on the stairs. Stuff like that. If they need help, they can reach out to the same family or friends they used to get to you. You are not the only one that can help them. Blocking them from your phone or social media may help. The block button is strong, okay? If your narcissist is prone to being dramatic, like showing up to your work or home, let your boss or landlord know, or even the police know ahead of time that this person is toxic and not to be allowed near you or have access to your information. If your narcissist still, after all of this, does not get the point, don't be afraid to let them know that you're willing to call the police to keep them from invading your space. Make sure to keep your word if they continue to infiltrate the life you are trying to build away from them. Now, this leads into, in my opinion, one of the most important aspects of this entire thing, which is healing, because that's very important. And the execution and getting away from them, setting up boundaries, healing encapsulate all of this. Okay. Now, how to heal after separating from a narcissist. Now that you have decided to disentangle yourself from the narcissist, you may find at first it's pretty difficult. You have spent so long making your life all about them that you may not know who you really are. Now, here are some ways you can move forward and discover the unique qualities that makes you who you are, because that's important. First, no social media stalking the narcissist. Stay away from them. You may be tempted to see what they're up to, but this is just a good way to delay the healing you need for yourself. Out of sight, out of mind. All right. No, you may have to cut ties with those that still associate with the narcissist. Many narcissists use triangulation, and what that means is they do this by manipulating friends and family to do their bidding and get dirt on you. Like, hey, what's so-and-so up to? I haven't talked to them in a while. And then that family member, either willingly or unwittingly, starts just spouting off information about you. And then they take that, compile it in their notes, and then potentially use it against you later on. They do this in order to try and maintain power in a relationship with you. It may be hard to let these loved ones go, but it may be the only way you can reclaim control over your own life. Also, educate yourself on narcissistic abuse. You may not even be aware of some of the things that have happened to you. Also realize the warning signs of narcissistic behaviors in order to avoid them in the future. You don't want to repeat this cycle over and over again. Make a list of your likes, dreams, and goals. It may be hard to do at first since your needs have never been put first, but it will come in time. It will definitely come in time. Pursue those dreams and it will breathe life into an existence that has been put on hold for too long. You can also find a support system that will encourage and check up on you during your journey to a better future. Narcissisticabussupport.com has support meetup group listings by city and state. If there is not a group available in your state, supportgroup.com /narcissist may work for you. Or if you have Facebook, you can visit SPAN, which means Support for People Affected by Narcissism. Now, thank you so much for being with me on this long journey. I just want to say that we each get one life, and while helping others is a great way to give of yourself, your life shouldn't be lived through or for someone else. If someone doesn't respect you as an individual with thoughts, feelings, and needs of your own, that is not a person that should be allowed unrestricted access into your life. You have to remember, the narcissist in your life is the emperor with no clothes. And that means, they're not who they say they are. Also, they're like the fake Wizard of Oz behind the curtain. They're not who they say they are. They are a small person trying to take a big place in your life. Once you realize how little power they actually have, you reclaim your life, and the future is as bright as you can make it. Thank you for coming back and visiting within a week of having a previous conversation. I definitely enjoyed it. This is by far the most detailed conversation we've ever had. And thank you for sitting through all of it. Please take this information. If you don't have need of it, give it to someone else who does. That's the beauty of sharing knowledge, empowering other people to pursue what makes them happy. And you being here means that potentially you want to pursue something different. I think we all are trying to find what makes us happy. You are only but a few choices away from discovering your potential and your purpose. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you next time. Take care.
All right. Pool hours are over. Don't want you catching the cramp. Tell you what, come on back for a swim soon and we can catch up on life. In the meantime, check me out on Twitter at FormlessLiquid. You can also find this podcast on Buzzsprout and SoundCloud. Just type in Liquid Wisdom Podcast and boom, you're there. Catch you later.